Hello, little explorers. Tonight, I'm taking you on a completely different adventure. A city lost in time, a brave child searching for it, and mysterious gates. Is it all just a legend, or could it be real? There's only one way to find out. Let's begin. The Gates of Time, the legend of the lost city. 13-year-old Aras loved reading books and researching ancient legends. He spent most of his days in his grandfather Ralph's library, filled with antique books. One day, he found a book he had never seen before, buried among the dusty shelves. The cover had golden letters that read, "The Gates of Time, the Lost City." The book's pages were yellowed with age, with old ink marks and maps inside. But the strangest thing was a small, ancient piece of paper that fell from between the pages. This worn-out map didn't look like any city he knew. When Aras showed the map to his grandfather, Ralph's eyes widened in fear. "Where did you find this? You must keep it hidden," his grandfather said, his voice trembling. Aras was confused. Why was his grandfather afraid? What was he supposed to hide? That night, after everyone had fallen asleep, Aras grabbed his flashlight and examined the map. In one corner, there was a faint inscription. "To reach the gates of time, pass through the Moon Mountain." Aras felt his heart race. Could the gates of time be real? There was only one way to find out. He had to follow the map. Early the next morning, Aras packed his backpack and quietly left the house before his grandfather could notice. The Moon Mountain, marked on the map, was outside the town, a tall and steep mountain. The climb was difficult. His feet slipped, and the wind howled against his face. But just as he was about to give up, he noticed ancient stone carvings that matched the symbols on the map. In the middle of these mysterious stone pillars, there was a massive door with glowing ancient symbols. As Aras approached, the map in his pocket began to glow on its own. And at that moment, the door rumbled open. As he stepped inside, golden dust swirled around him, and a strange light appeared. When he opened his eyes, he found himself in a completely different place. Aras opened his eyes and saw an incredible sight. A city of towering crystal buildings and golden streets stretched before him. But something was strange. Everything was silent. The city was full of people, but they were all frozen in place, as if time had stopped. Then he heard a whispering voice behind him. "How did you get here, stranger?" Aras turned quickly. A tall figure in a cloak stood before him. Their eyes shone like stars. "I'm Aras. Where am I? And why is everyone like this?" he asked, his voice shaking. The figure lowered his head. "This is Eltheria, the lost city, and you shouldn't be here." The figure led Aras to a great palace. Inside there was a massive hourglass, but its sands were frozen in place. The figure turned to Aras. "The gates of time have been broken. Someone has stopped the flow of time. If you can fix it, everyone here will awaken again." Aras had no idea what to do, but his map started glowing once more. He noticed a location marked on it that resembled a clock. The figure said, "That is the Temple of Eternal Time." There was no other choice but to go there. When Aras reached the temple, a massive stone door awaited him. In the center, there was an hourglass symbol. As he opened the door, a dark shadow moved inside. "Who dares enter my domain?" a deep voice echoed. Aras found himself face to face with the Shadow Lord, a being who was supposed to be the guardian of time, but had been corrupted. "Time is mine to control now. You cannot leave," the Shadow Lord roared. But Aras wasn't afraid. He held up his map, and the light from it illuminated the darkness surrounding the Shadow Lord. The hourglass suddenly shattered, and time began to flow again in the city. People started moving, birds took flight, and water began to flow. Eltheria was finally free, but at that moment, the door opened once again, and Aras was pulled backward. Aras suddenly woke up in his room. Everything looked normal, but on his desk, there was a single glowing grain of sand. It was proof that everything he had experienced was real. And then, he heard his grandfather's voice. "Breakfast is ready, Aras. Would you like to read a new book today?" Aras smiled. Maybe it was time for another adventure. And so, little explorers, maybe one day you'll find a map and step into an unknown world. Who knows? Maybe the gates of time will open for you too. Good night, brave adventurers. Galaxy, galaxy.